Forget New Year, New You. This season is about slowing down, locking the doors, and cozying up at home with the one you really want to do nothing with. Your dog. After the holiday chaos, those quiet nights with a blanket, a podcast, and your pup feel like the reset you actually need. Ollie helps make those moments easier with fresh protein-packed meals made from real human-grade ingredients, so your dog can enjoy some quality comfort food too. Choose from 5 recipes and get a personalized plan for your dog's needs. Meals arrive perfectly proportioned with a scoop and storage container, so serving is fast and mess-free. And with Ollie's in-app on-demand health screenings, supporting your dog is easy, ensuring more cuddles for many years to come. Visit ollie.com/truecrime and use code TRUECRIME for 60% off your first box.
30-year-old Wade Wilson sat at the defense table, wearing a bright royal blue suit, his brown hair slicked back. The many tattoos on his face moved slightly as he appeared to smirk while the prosecutor spoke to the jury.
Christine Melton was 35 years old when she died. She was found in her South Cape Coral residence, wrapped in some bedding, tied with some shirts and leggings and a bathing suit top. Her face was black and blue. Her fingernails were broken. She had marks around her neck as she lied on the floor between her bedroom and kitchen area of her residence.
The prosecutor then told the jury about a second victim.
Diane Ruiz was 43 years old. She was found on an empty lot under some shrubs, under a tree, just lying there. Her nose had been broken. Her hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage had been broken. She had suffered multiple rib fractures, not only front, but also in the back.
2 women brutally murdered. One suspect who would confess, but then would later claim he didn't do it, and who would receive thousands of letters while in jail, most reportedly from, quote, women and fans. This is Jillian in partnership with Law and Crime. You are listening to Court Junkie, episode 275. This episode is sponsored by Little Spoon. We know that as a busy parent, it's important to keep your life simple and convenient, especially at mealtimes. Little Spoon is one way to help you do just that. Little Spoon delivers fresh, healthy meals and snacks straight to your door that your kiddo will love at every eating stage they're in. This is definitely true for my household. My little one loved the baby blends when he was first starting his solids. Baby blends are fresh, organic baby food from single ingredients to multi-textured purees. And Little Spoon partners with the Clean Label Project to test their blends for 400-plus contaminants, including heavy metals, so you can be confident in what you're giving your little one. Now, my little guy is 1 and has moved on to Biteables, which are early finger food meals that are cut to size to promote easy self-feeding. They're also healthy, balanced, and free of artificial junk. For my 6-year-old, she's been enjoying their plates, which are toddler and big kid meals that even your pickiest eater will love. Think hidden veggie mac and cheese, chicken nuggets. And then you have the more adventurous plates like pot stickers and gnocchi. Little Spoon also offers other great options like smoothies, puffs, snacks, and lunchers. I tend to try everything I give my kids, and even I think these meals are tasty. Did I mention it all comes right to my door? So flexible, so easy, and everything stores right in the fridge and freezer. I pick the menu and change up what I order every time. The price is right, the quality is unmatched. I love it, my kids love it, the grandparents love it. A huge win-win-win for my family, and it can be for yours too. Simplify your kiddo's mealtime with 30% off your first order. Go to littlespoon.com/court and enter our code COURT at checkout to get 30% off your first Little Spoon order. You don't just live in your home. You live in your neighborhood as well. So when you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Luckily, Homes.com has got you covered. Each listing features a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Everything you'd ever want to know about a neighborhood, including the number of homes for sale, transportation, local amenities, cultural attractions, unique qualities, and even things like median lot size and a noise score. Homes.com. We've done your homework. Sometime in the afternoon on October 7th, 2019, a 911 call came into the Cape Coral Police Department in Florida from a man named Joshua Lukic.
911, what is your emergency? I have a very unstable man that's, I guess, wanted at my office, 2309 Hancock Bridge Parkway. He's got tattoos, he's shirtless, he's killed some people, and he just hurt a girl, 2309 Hancock Bridge Parkway.
Joshua owned a screen printing and t-shirt and sign company called Mateo Graphics. One of his acquaintances, Wade Wilson, had just come into his business, acting very strange.
Wade came in a black car. He backed up to one of the buildings on the property there, and he came up to my truck, my vehicle, when I was on the property, and I was with a client at that time, so I told him to give me a moment, and I'll be right with him. And once I went into the building, he was there trying to get a plane ticket or a bus ticket or whatever he could from me to leave town.
Now, when you saw Mr. Wilson, could you please describe for us what he was wearing at that time?
He was wearing sweatpants only, no shoes, no shirt. He was bloody, and he was missing a couple of teeth.
He said Wade was frantic and in a rush to leave as quickly as he could because he had just done something horrific. He said he had killed people.
When he was speaking to you and asking you for your assistance, did that give you any cause for concern?
Not right away. And once I took a look at him again, I started to believe what he was saying.
And what exactly was he saying to you?
He said he killed people, and he rolled up someone in a carpet or bedding or whatever it was, and that he also needed to get out of town. He needed a plane ticket and a bus ticket or anything he could.
So was he frantically asking you for assistance?
Yes.
Wade was pacing back and forth inside of his business. They were the only two people there. Joshua told Wade that a friend of his had called and said that Wade had beat up his girlfriend in the parking lot earlier that morning. He told him, "If that's all this is, you guys are okay if you just got into a fight." But then Wade said, "No, you don't understand. I killed people." Joshua later told a jury that once that finally set in, he threw a cigarette at Wade and told him to smoke it. He would be right back.
Now, at that time, were you frightened?
Yeah.
And you were scared?
Yes.
Joshua told Wade that he needed to pick up an employee of his at a job down the road and that he would be back. It was just an excuse to leave. After he left, he drove to his other building and called the police from there. He told them what Wade had just said. Police arrived, but by then, Wade was gone. The black car he had been driving, however, a black Nissan Versa, was still there. When the officers looked inside, they could see blood. They broke into the car, checking the trunk, but no one was there. A records check showed the car belonged to a woman named Christine Melton. They found her phone number and figured out where she worked and lived. They went to those locations, but she was nowhere to be found. They next found a woman named Stephanie Johnson, who was Christine's best friend. Stephanie told them that she and Christine had been out the night before, and that she last saw her earlier that morning at Christine's apartment. They had met a man at the bar, and he had gone back to Christine's place with them. In the morning, Stephanie had left, but the man was still there. The search for Wade and now Christine continued. And meanwhile, at a local elementary school not far away, the father of one of the students there turned in a purse to the school's resource officer. When the officer looked inside the purse, he saw that it belonged to a woman named Diane Ruiz. He found out that Diane worked at the Moose Lodge and went there, where he discovered she hadn't shown up for work that day, which was unusual. She was missing too. Stephen Testaseco was at home with his wife Melanie on October 7th, 2019, when he received a call from his adult son, Wade Wilson. He and Wade had only known each other for a few years. Stephen hadn't been a part of his son's life until Wade had turned 18. They spoke on the phone often, but had only seen each other a few times. Wade mostly called him to ask for money. But this time, Wade had something else on his mind.
What did he tell you in that call that evening?
He just told me, he did something. There was 2 people gone that would not be back. He said, I'm a killer. I just told him to call me back. I just thought it was another story,
So at this point, when he says that there were 2 people that wouldn't be with us and that he was a killer, did you put a lot of weight into that?
No, ma'am.
Do you think he was just telling you a story?
He's a good storyteller.
Wade called him again later that evening and gave him even more details about the 2 women he said he had killed. Stephen told Wade he would send him an Uber and asked for his address. He then passed that on to the U.S. Marshals, who then went to the abandoned house where Wade was hiding out and arrested him. The bodies of Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz were found. Christine was found inside her home. Cape Coral police officer Charles Caruso would later describe forcing entry at the front door of her apartment. He went inside and within just under a minute, found something.
We were inside somewhere around 45 seconds, long enough. It's a small apartment, long enough to see there was nothing in the living room, nothing in the kitchen, but on the floor between the bedroom and the kitchen was a large bundle of. It was hard to tell. Looked like bed sheets and clothing. We couldn't see anything right away. We spread apart the sheets just enough to see a leg, the lower portion of a leg. I noticed immediately there was a unique tattoo on it, and at that point we backed out and left the apartment.
He instructed his officers to put up crime scene tape. Diane Ruiz was found a few days later, on October 10th. Sergeant Justin DeRosso had gone to the location where Diane had last been seen. He saw a vulture circling in the air, so he and another officer went over to an undeveloped lot.
So we pulled the truck up around into the empty lot, and as we kind of started to turn north in the northern direction there is when we both recognized a body in the woods.
About how far off the road did you see the body?
We were off the road, so we had to kind of enter the lot and kind of make that turn before we really saw it. So 30 feet, 40 feet maybe.
He taped the area off and advised the detectives working the missing persons case what he had found. Wade Wilson was no stranger to police. According to the Tallahassee Democrat, he had charges dating back to 2012. Charges that included sexual assault, burglary, child cruelty, and firearms offenses. In 2015, he went on trial for sexual battery and kidnapping after a woman said he had raped her in his SUV after they met at a party. She said he choked her and threatened to shoot her if she didn't listen. He was acquitted. 2 other women later accused him of kidnapping and rape, but charges were never brought. Wade was also brought up at another trial I covered on Court Junkie, the trial of Denise Williams, who had conspired with her former lover, Brian Winchester, to kill her husband, Mike Williams. At Denise's trial, Brian testified against her, and during his testimony, he revealed that his fellow inmate, Wade Wilson, had offered to have Denise killed while the two were housed in jail together. That was the same Wade Wilson. If there's one thing I try to avoid nowadays, it's going grocery shopping with 2 little kids. My 1-year-old is very unpredictable at this stage, and if he's hungry, overtired, teething, or just plain crabby, that trip can turn into anxiety city for me. So that's where my appreciation for Thrive Market comes into play. Shopping with Thrive Market is easy and stress-free. There's over 90 ways to filter your searches for what you're looking for, like low sugar, high protein, dairy-free. Then, once you pick out your items, they're delivered right to your doorstep. I've gotten everything from baby food to personal care items from Thrive. For our last box, we ordered from their line of non-toxic cleaning products, toilet bowl cleaner, dish soap, and all-purpose cleaner. Not only do I save time shopping as a Thrive Market member, I also save money on every single grocery order. On average, I save over 30% each time. They even have a price match guarantee and a deals page that changes weekly. Last time we saved about $15, which really adds up each month. Save time and money by getting it all in one place with Thrive Market. Go to thrivemarket.com/courtjunkie for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/courtjunkie. thrivemarket.com/courtjunkie. Court Junkie is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing and the person next to you is talking and your car fan is blasting, all while you're trying to find the perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do the hard work of comparing rates so you can find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehensive and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies, all lined up and ready to compare. So it's simple to choose the rate and coverages you like. Press play on comparing auto rates. Quote at progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. Prosecutor Andreas Gardner gave the opening statements in the case of Florida versus Wade Wilson. He told the jury that both victims, 35-year-old Christine Melton and 43-year-old Diane Ruiz, had 3 things in common. Both of them died on October 7th, 2019. Both of them had been strangled. And the last person both of them had ever encountered was Wade Wilson. He walked the jury through a timeline of the murders. On the night of October 6th, 2019, Wade had met Christine Melton and her friend Stephanie at a bar in Fort Myers called The Buddha, a live music venue. Wade told them his name was JR, and he introduced them to another guy named Jason. As the bar closed that night, the four of them decided to go back to Jason's house on Sunbury Drive. They hung out for a while. Christine and Wade got intimate with each other. And then Christine, Stephanie, and Wade decided to go back to Christine's place. That's the last time Stephanie would ever see her friend again.
You know how that morning ended. Miss Melton, once again, had broken fingernails. Her face was black and blue. She had marks around her neck. She had been strangled. He then proceeds to wrap her up in some bedding, ties the bedding, ties it with her shirts, her jeans, her leggings, her bathing suit top, and tries to pull her out of the bedroom. Except at this point in time, the sun's beginning to come up. It's getting light outside. She's heavy. He wants to get rid of the body. He thinks the better of it, and then decides he's going to leave her there.
He said Wade took Christine's car, a black Nissan Versa. Before he left, he got her phone and held it up to her face so the face recognition would unlock it. He then used the phone to call his girlfriend Melissa, or Mila. They agreed to meet at her business, a spa. When he got there, he ended up physically assaulting Mila as he tried to get her into his car. Police were called, but meanwhile, Wade decided to leave and go to Cape Coral. He went over the bridge and headed over to one of the neighborhoods near an elementary school. There, he encountered Diane Ruiz, walking to work at the Moose Lodge.
Now, we don't know exactly how Miss Ruiz ultimately wound up getting into that particular car. But if you believe how Mr. Wilson tells it, she got in willingly. But remember, Miss Ruiz had a broken nasal bone. She had multiple fractures or ribs, and she had broken thyroid and neck cartilage injuries to her.
Prosecutor Gardner said they know Diane Ruiz was in the car and that she was taken to an area off Northeast 4th Avenue where her body was dumped. A neighbor who lived behind there was having breakfast with his wife and saw a car going backwards and forwards multiple times and then leaving. The next day, he noticed crime scene tape up and realized what he had seen. Prosecutor Gardner told the jury that Diane had been strangled and died as a result of blunt force trauma, multiple rib fractures. He said Wade told police that he had driven over her repeatedly and tried to make her look like spaghetti. According to Prosecutor Gardner, Wade then headed over to Mateo Graphics. After leaving prior to police arriving there, Wade went to an empty house and helped himself to some food, clothes, and drinks. From there, he called his dad, who then ultimately turned him in. Prosecutor Gardner told the jury that when asked by investigators why he killed Christine, he said, "I just wanted to do it." When asked about Diane, he said, "F it, I should kill her. I already got one down." The defense declined to give opening statements. Stephanie Johnson had been a friend of Christine Melton since high school, and they both worked together at a place called Duffy's in Cape Coral. She testified that she and Christine had plans to go out drinking at the Buddha Bar in Fort Myers on the night of October 6, 2019. At around 10 or 10:30 p.m., she met Christine at her apartment, and then they took an Uber to the bar. There was a band playing that night. She and Christine socialized quite a bit, danced, and drank. Towards the end of the night, as they were walking towards the upstairs bar, Someone jumped out in front of her to get her attention and said, "Hey, who's your friend?" and gestured towards Christine.
He seemed friendly and introduced himself, and I grabbed Christine and said, "Hey, this guy wants to meet you."
What was his demeanor?
Friendly, charming.
Is there any red flags that popped up when you were talking to him?
No.
How did he introduce himself to you?
At that point, he introduced himself as JR.
Do you see JR sitting in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Would you please point to him and identify an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Right there, in a bright blue suit.
She was asked if his appearance had changed since that night. She said yes. He has a lot of tattoos on his face now, and he didn't have any that night. JR introduced them to his friend Jason, and the four of them talked at the bar and mingled. Christine and JR seemed to be interested in each other.
Me and Christine had commented on how he had dimples, and one of the guys she had been talking to earlier in the night only had one dimple, and he had two dimples. And, she definitely was attracted to him, and he seemed attracted to her, and they were friendly and getting to know each other.
As the bar was closing and people were being shuffled out, she and Christine went outside. They continued talking to JR and Jason. They followed the men to their car. She saw JR toss the keys to Jason. She said she wasn't sure if they were going to go back to Christine's place or somewhere else. Everyone was happy and cheerful and intoxicated. It was typical. Nothing was scary or seemed out of the ordinary. There were no red flags. Jason was driving, Christine was in the passenger seat, and she and JR were in the back seat. They ended up going to Jason's house. She said Jason's mom was home, awake on the couch, and not very happy that they were there. They went to Jason's bedroom down the hall. Christine and JR started having sex, and she and Jason went outside. They continued to drink and talk. She said they weren't interested in each other and didn't hook up. JR and Christine would come out from time to time and then go back inside. They appeared to be having a good time with each other, she said. She estimated they were there for a couple hours, and then she, Christine, and JR left.
We were at Jason's house, and then kind of, quickly, JR was saying, "Oh, we got to go. This guy doesn't want us here anymore." And it was kind of at that point that I realized that Jason and JR didn't know each other before this night. The way JR was, seeming at the beginning of the night was that, they were there together. And then when we were leaving, it was, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like this guy wanted us out of his house, and it was kind of quickly an exit.
They got in the car and JR was trying to back out of the driveway, but he couldn't get it to go in reverse. Jason came outside and told them they had to leave. The car was in the street at that point, but JR couldn't get it to move again. Stephanie said to Christine, "Let's get an Uber," and Christine called for one. Once the Uber arrived, she got in right away, and Christine and JR were looking for his cell phone. She said she didn't believe JR found his phone that night. They all got into the Uber and went to Christine's apartment.
When we got back to Christine's home, the three of us went into her house, and I know Christine and I had this sense of relief that we had made it home, that we got home, safely, and, it was winding down. I remember sitting on the couch and taking my shoes off. I remember Christine standing in the kitchen getting something to drink. And I remember telling her, I had to go home because I had to go to work the next day and take my son to school.
She said she left at about 6 a.m.
Now, prior to leaving, did everything seem fine?
Yeah, it did. And I remember telling Christine, I have to go home. I have to go to work. And she was like, okay. She hugged me and kissed me goodbye and said, "Talk to you tomorrow."
And again, when she told you goodbye and that she'd see you tomorrow, did you have any concerns for her safety?
No.
And in fact, if you did, would you have left her home with just her and Wade Wilson in that house?
Not at all. And if she was concerned, Christine would have never let me leave that house if she was scared. She would have said, let's get this guy out of here together.
Stephanie testified that she dropped her son off and went to work. Christine wasn't scheduled to work that day, but she texted her in the early afternoon to check in. "You up?" she texted. She didn't receive a response. She said she assumed Christine was sleeping. When she left work, she called her, but no answer. She got in touch with Christine's cousin Samantha, but she hadn't heard from Christine either. She said she still wasn't worried. She recapped their night for Samantha, and they talked for a bit. But a little while later, she got a call from a Cape Coral detective who asked her some questions about Christine. She said she started to get concerned. She, Samantha, and some others all went to Christine's apartment. There, she saw caution tape up. On cross, she said she saw Christine, Jason, and JR use cocaine that night. Everyone was drinking and smoking marijuana as well. Jason Shepard took the stand next. He testified that he went to the Buddha on October 6th, which was a little more than 5 minutes from his house. He said he went there with a friend of his. They had some drinks, hung out, and then his friend left. While he was there, he met a guy who called himself Junior.
And he introduced himself to you as Junior?
At the time, yeah.
Did you learn his name later on?
Yeah.
But you never learned it that night?
No.
Now, was Junior there with anyone?
Yeah.
Who was he with?
A blonde-haired girl, real pretty blonde-haired girl.
And did it seem that the two of them were together?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, did she leave?
Yeah.
Did you ever see her again that night?
No.
Now, when Junior introduced himself to you, describe his personality.
He was cool. He was fine. He seemed cool.
And if he wasn't cool or gave you any kind of weird vibe?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have kept talking to him.
Now, did he look different back then than he does today?
Yeah, he didn't have all this.
When you say all this?
Tattoos.
He said when they were leaving the bar that night, they ran into two girls, Christine and Stephanie. He said he drove Junior's car back to his house. Junior had told him he couldn't drive a stick shift. Amy Slobodin testified that she was friends with Wade's girlfriend, Mila. She said she, too, was at the Buddha that night, and that Mila introduced her to Wade. She had never met him before. A little before closing time, she decided to leave. When she walked outside, she noticed Mila's car leaving, but Mila was still there. She asked Mila why her car was leaving, and Mila told her that Wade took her car and left. Amy said she gave Mila a ride back to her house, and that Mila slept on her sofa. The next morning, she heard Mila on the phone.
I had my bedroom door open and I heard her speaking on her phone saying, I don't know, let me check for a piece of mail and I'll give you the address. And I hollered to her, Mila, I don't know him. I don't want him in my house. My son is here. I will take you wherever you need to go. Like, if you want me to drive you somewhere, I'll take you wherever you need to go. So she was like, we'll just meet you at my spa.
And you indicated that you heard, was the phone being utilized at that time?
Yeah.
But how many times would you say that phone was being used or called?
They were talking on and off. It just kept ringing and ringing, and the whole time, the whole ride, all the way to the spa.
So did you feel comfortable with him coming to your house?
Absolutely not. I don't let strangers in my home.
All right. So did you ultimately wind up driving her to the spa?
Yes, I did.
All right.
When they arrived at the spa, Mila was still on the phone with Wade. They saw Wade pull in. He was in a different car now, a black car, not Mila's. She said Mila and Wade started arguing back and forth, and then Wade got physical with her.
So you park and he parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
All right. You get out of your car?
No.
Okay. Does Mia or Miss Martinez get out of her car?
Yes. Mila got out and went to the driver's side window.
What did you see?
She was just trying to get her stuff, and they were having just words back and forth, and then he tried to pull her in the window.
How did she respond?
She started fighting immediately.
What else did she do?
She wound up falling backwards, and then Wade got out of the vehicle after her, but the car wasn't in park. It was actually still rolling, so it almost ran them over. And then he slammed it in park and then went after her immediately. He was ripping her dress off of her. He was pulling her hair. Her extensions were everywhere, all over the ground. And then he proceeded to drag her from the parking lot to the stairs, up the stairs. She was holding onto the banister like a monkey, trying to hold on, and he just kept ripping her more and more to the door upstairs.
How tall would you say Miss Montanez is?
I'm only 5'4". She's shorter than me.
About how much would you say she weighed?
She's got to be 125 pounds. She's light, little.
She called 911.
When you saw them go upstairs towards the spa, what did you see Mr. Wilson do to Miss Montanez?
Instantly, when he punched her, he dragged her from the lower part of the stairs to the upper part of the stairs. He pinned her up against the wall by his hands on her throat, and then he punched her in her face. When he punched her in her face, her nose exploded. And I don't know if it was sirens in the background or the sound or the blood that came out of her nose that spooked him, but he immediately got into the black car and just started taking off.
Now, was he making any threats to her when he was beating her?
I mean, it was so fast, but he did threaten. He did say, he said to me if I got out of the car, he was going to kill me.
Wade ended up leaving, and she and Mila met with the police. Afterwards, she was driving home when she saw Mila's car on one of the side streets. Mila then testified too. She told the jury that while at the Buddha, Wade repeatedly kept asking her to leave with him to a man named Jason's house, whom he had just met that night. Mila testified that she wasn't comfortable going to a stranger's house, and that Wade then took her car without her permission. She said Wade then started texting and calling her at about 6 a.m., and when she woke up around 8 a.m., she started answering him.
Where are you? Can I come get you? I can't really remember, but it was more calm at first.
Okay.
As I started saying, I want my keys, I want my car, where are you? I need to get them back. It escalated more into name calling and aggression and intimidation.
Okay. Now, let's go to where it starts to escalate. How are you able to tell that he is starting to escalate?
Raising his voice, calling me names.
What names is he calling you?
Bitch, cunt, whore, all these different names. And I can't remember the threats per se, but it was very intimidating.
Did he appear to sound angry?
Very angry.
Did you feel scared at this point?
Yes.
She said she wasn't familiar with the number he was calling and texting her from. She had never seen it before. She agreed to meet up with him so she could get her car back. They met up at her spa, but he was in a different car. She said she went up to the car and asked where her keys and car were. He was calm at first, but then again, it escalated.
Did you agree to get in the car?
No.
And when you would not agree to get in the car, how did he act?
Violent, aggressive, tried to pull me in the car physically, and I resisted, got plank style so that he could not grab me into the vehicle.
When you say you got plank style, could you just show the jurors what you meant? What do you mean by that?
And I was being pulled into the car by my dress.
Okay, so for the record, you just stood up and put your hands straight above your head.
Yes, so that I was not being able to be budged into the vehicle.
And what happens after that?
Once he realizes that the threads were becoming, I was getting away from him and he was still holding onto the dress, he opens the car door, obviously forgets to put it in park. The car starts to roll forward. He tackles me to the ground. The car grazes both of our legs and I'm pummeled to the ground.
How hard did he push you to the ground?
I'm sorry, I don't recall. This is also fast and he's very heavy and I'm 5'2", he's 6'6", so.
Now, what happens after you are pushed to the ground?
I start to get beat.
Okay. Describe what you mean when you say he was beating you.
It all went so fast and so slow, whether it be punches, slapping, choking, that kind of nature. Yes.
Now, you mentioned that the fight is happening around the car. Does the fight move at some point?
Yes. So I either get dragged, pulled, can't remember, by my hair, arm, or dress, I'm trying to reason with him, trying to talk to him, but there's nobody behind those eyes anymore. So there was no reasoning with him. I got to the front of the staircase and I'm holding onto that. And a crowd begins to develop. I'm expecting people to help, call 911. So I'm just trying to bide my time at that point as quickly as help can get there. And that's not working either. I'm starting to get punched and grabbed and choked and all kinds of things again. Somehow we move up to the upper level. I'm trying to convince him, let's just go in Mila Spa. We'll talk about it there. We're safe there.
What was your thought process in getting him to your spa?
Elongate the amount of time it took to get help. I was trying anything that I could to expand the amount of time that I didn't have to go to his car where I'd probably never be seen again. It just elongate the amount of time. I knew help was on its way. The cop even said that's the most amount of pings they've ever heard from a 911 call ever. There was a crowd out there.
Diane Ruiz's son, Brandon, took the stand too. In October 2019, he lived with Diane and her fiancé, Scott, as well as with his sister. He said Diane was a server and bartender at the Moose Lodge, about 5 minutes from their house. She typically got a ride there from one of her friends, but on October 7th, she walked. He said she left sometime between 9:30 and 11 a.m. He noted she would always carry her purse with her. Brandon detailed to the jury getting a knock at the door from an officer later that day about his mom's purse. He told them to take it up to the Moose Lodge. When they came back, he was concerned and asked them to report her missing. He said after that, a lot of it is a blur. A lot of trauma, he said. Diane's fiancé, Scott, recalled how everyone was trying to get a hold of him on the day she disappeared.
What did you do in response to everyone trying to get a hold of you?
I immediately called one of the people that was trying to get a hold of me, and they told me the situation. Luckily, my boss was on job at the time, and I told him there's a situation, I need to go.
And did you?
We left immediately.
And where'd you go?
Right to my house.
What happened when you got to your house?
I met with Brandon there, and he told me the situation, and I don't remember exactly what we did after that, but I remember a police officer coming to the house talking to us about her purse.
And did you ultimately retain the purse there at the residence?
I believe it was there when I got there. I'm not absolutely sure because it was 5 years ago. But there was a Detective Jones who came there and, had me identify the purse.
He said after he identified her purse, they sat around the kitchen table while the officer asked him a bunch of questions. Dr. Thomas Coyne was the chief medical examiner and oversaw both Christine's and Diane's autopsies. He testified that Christine had bruises all over her body and had significant brain swelling. He said Diane was decomposing by the time of her autopsy, but that she had a fractured nose, a laceration under her breast, and bruising on both sides of her body. She also had significant internal injuries and possible self-defense wounds on her arms and hands. When asked if her injuries could be due to someone driving a car over her, he said certainly. Stephen Testaseco, Wade's father, also took the stand to testify against his son. He told the court that he was 14 or 15 when he found out that his girlfriend, who was a year younger, was pregnant. He said their son was placed up for adoption and was adopted by Candy and Steve Wilson. They went to church with Wade's mother's parents. They ended up raising him. He said when Wade was 18, he reconnected with him. Up until then, they had never met. He and Wade started a relationship, and they would talk on the phone often. He went and visited Wade one time in Tallahassee, but they didn't see each other much. On Monday, October 7th, 2019, Wade called him.
The first time he said he needed help. He had done something that he couldn't take back.
Did he indicate that he and his girl had gotten into an argument?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was his girl that you were aware of at the time?
I just knew her as Mila.
And did it seem that he wanted your help because of this argument?
Yes, ma'am.
When he called you, were you actually at work?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to really give your attention and time to him to try to help him at that point?
No, ma'am.
So what did you tell him when he was asking for your help?
I just told him to call me back around dinner time. I'd be done working and we'd figure it out.
Between that call and dinner time, he received a call from a detective who was looking for Wade. He said he had no idea what happened at that point. The detective gave him her number and said if Wade calls you back, we need to talk to him. He said Wade called him later that evening. In this call, he said he did something, that there were 2 people who would not be back. I'm a killer, he said. Stephen testified that he didn't take it seriously until Wade called him again later that evening.
When he called back at 10, did he go into more details about what he had told you earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's start with the first girl. If you could tell the jurors, what did he tell you?
He just said he met a girl at a bar. They went back to her house, hung out for a little bit, and then she fell asleep.
What did he say happened after she fell asleep?
He said he got on top of her and choked her.
What name did he call her? Did he refer to her in a derogatory term?
He said, I choked that bitch.
Okay. And what did he say he did after he choked her?
He said he stayed in the house for a little while, and then he rolled her up and was going to try to put her in her trunk, but he couldn't lift her.
Wade told him that when he couldn't get her body into her trunk, he left her there and took her car.
What did he say about the second girl?
He said he saw her walking down the street and stopped and asked her for directions. And she got in the car with him.
What did he say happened once she got in the car with him?
He said he reached over and choked her.
And did he tell you that he choked her while he was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what did he say happened after he choked her?
He said he was looking for a place to put her body.
Did he find a place where he eventually dumped her body?
Yes, ma'am.
What did he tell you about the situation when he got to the place where he was going to dump her body?
He said that he pulled her out of the car and realized that she was still breathing.
So what did he tell you he did when he realized she's still breathing?
He said he got back in the car and ran her over until she looked like spaghetti.
He was asked what Wade's demeanor was when he was telling him these things.
He was excited.
When you say excited, what do you mean by that?
I felt like he was wanting me to feel the way he felt about it.
Did he seem proud of it?
Yes.
Did he seem to show any kind of remorse?
No, ma'am.
And was he able to go into great detail about both of these ladies' deaths?
Yes, ma'am.
He said he had the phone on speakerphone and his wife Melanie was listening too.
Prior to him telling you these details, how did you feel about turning him in to law enforcement?
I initially wanted to help him.
Okay. Did you feel conflicted about giving him over to law enforcement initially?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point when you're talking with him, did that feeling change?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I just thought, what if that was my mom or my daughter or sister or wife? I would want somebody to do that.
And did you have additional concerns of what might happen if you didn't turn him into law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
What was that, sir?
He would have done it again.
He wasn't sure where exactly Wade was, but he knew he was at a house he had broken into. He said he told Wade he would send him an Uber and that he needed the address. Once they got the address, Melanie then messaged the officer. She relayed to the officer what Wade had told them. He said he remained on the phone with Wade as law enforcement arrived there. He said he encouraged Wade to go outside and turn himself in. He said he didn't want him to do anything stupid and get killed. He told him to put his hands up and go outside, which he did. Daniel Baker, a criminalist in the DNA unit, testified about the DNA that was tested in the case. He said he tested knots in shirts that had been tied around the bedding Christine's body was put in. Both Wade's DNA profile was a possible contributor, as was Christine's. Other clothing taken from Christine also matched Wade's DNA. The last witness for the state was Nick Jones, Master Corporal with the Cape Coral Police Department. He testified that while Wade was in jail, he requested to speak with detectives. He was read his Miranda rights, and then he began to talk. And what he said echoed what he had told his dad. The defense rested without calling any witnesses. In their closing arguments, Wade's attorney, Lee Hollander, thanked the jury for their service, saying he knows that some portions of the trial were rough. He said he wanted to argue against premeditation. He said Wade was using drugs that night, and he pointed to his girlfriend Mila saying that his eyes were black that following morning. There was no soul behind them, he said.
He kills Miss Melton. Wraps her up. Why? Rather than premeditation, I would submit to you that the judge is going to give you an instruction on second-degree murder. And one of the, or also known as depraved mind murder. I don't think anyone can argue that none of this was not depraved. But in order to commit second-degree murder, there must be an unlawful killing by an act imminently dangerous to another, no one's arguing that, demonstrating a depraved mind without regard for human life. An act includes a series of related actions arising from and performed pursuant to a single design or purpose. An act is, quote, imminently dangerous to another and demonstrating a depraved mind, end quote, if it is an act or series of acts that a person of ordinary judgment would know is reasonably certain to kill or do serious bodily injury to another, no question about that, is done from ill will, hatred, spite, or an evil intent, and is of such a nature that the act
in itself indicates an indifference to human life. Whatever he was doing, nobody's arguing was not depraved.
He said he wasn't going to deny Wade's guilt.
We're not arguing he didn't do it. There's solid evidence that he is responsible for those 2 deaths and the battery of Miss Montanez. But Miss Montanez's testimony, you need to think about that, whether this was premeditated Miss Middleton had sex with him. He could have just gotten up and left or stayed with her. Instead, he murders her? That's not clear thinking, shall we say. I'm not arguing insanity. I'm just arguing that the state's claiming premeditation, and I'm saying he's whacked out. He's just out of his mind for any of this.
When it came time to deliver their verdict, the jury found Wade Wilson guilty of premeditated murder. They recommended the death penalty. Sentencing will officially take place in August, where the judge can either follow the jury's recommendation or sentence him to life in prison. Meanwhile, the Lee County Sheriff's Office confirmed to Newsweek that Wade Wilson has received more than 3,900 messages since his conviction in June, most from women. According to Newsweek's reporting, they were also told that Wade had been sent 754 photos, 163 of which were rejected due to their inappropriate nature. The judge in the case has also received multiple letters from what seems to be newfound supporters who are asking that Wade be spared the death penalty. One read, "As someone who cares unconditionally for Wade, I have deeply reflected on the gravity of the situation and the impact of your decision. While I understand the severity of the crime committed, I believe that a life sentence would allow Wade the opportunity to reflect, repent, and contribute positively within the confines of prison. Furthermore, a life sentence would provide his family, along with myself, the chance to maintain a relationship with Wade. It would allow us to visit, correspond, and continue to offer emotional support, a privilege that would be lost with the death penalty." And that's all for this episode. As always, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this case. Join the conversation on Instagram at Court Junkie, or find us on Twitter or X at Court Junkie Pod. To hear these episodes without the ads and hear additional Court Junkie bonus episodes, you can check out my Patreon options by going to courtjunkie.com/support. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.